Good evening, it's 7 o'clock. Welcome to the St Melian International Resort in the Tamar Valley, just a few miles from Plymouth. I'm Michael Checker, live on BBC Radio Devon tonight. We're here to turn the spotlight on the justice system. We have a panel of guests drawn from all manner of backgrounds. You'll meet them in just a moment. But first, please welcome our host this evening, chairing the panel, journalist Philip Hayton.
Thank you and welcome to A Question of Justice. This is part of Devon and Cornwall's contribution to the nationwide Inside Justice Week. Crime is on our minds more than ever. Surveys show only our sick economy worries us more. So what's gone wrong? The Shadow Home Secretary said the other day, and I quote, "People think our criminal justice system is broken. The system worries too much about the criminals and not enough about the justice." Okay, let me move on to another question. Andrew Harris has sent one in. This is one for you, I think, Tracy Easton. Is it true the CPS, the Crown Prosecution Service, only recommends prosecution where they estimate a 75% plus chance of conviction?
No, it's not true. I suppose you want me to fill that with a bit more fact.
Please.
The Crown Prosecution Service was developed in 1986, and we are a statutory body, and we have a thing called a Code for Crown Prosecutors. Every single offence that my prosecutors look at that's referred to us by the police has to go through the two-stage test. The first test is the evidential test. My prosecutors and I, we look at the evidence that is available, that is supplied to us. And the test is it's not a percentage, it is whether or not there is a reasonable prospect of conviction.
And how often does that happen?
I'm sorry?
How often, when all the cases that come across your desk, how many are prosecuted? What proportion?
At the moment, the ratio is for every 3 that are referred to us by the police, we charge 2.
2/3, right.
Yeah.
Are you happy with that? Does that seem about right?
That's what it is in this area, and that's about the same as roughly the rest of the country. It's about right.
Of the 2/3 that then go on to court hearing, how many are convicted?
Well, they're convicted at different stages because we have quite a high. Well, the percentages differ between the Magistrates' Court and the Crown Court. We have quite a high guilty plea in the Magistrates, quite a high conviction rate overall in the Magistrates, which is about 80% at the moment, I think. It's slightly lower in the Crown Court, which is about 71%. So we have a high conviction rate.
And what are the mechanics? How does it work? You've got the final say in whether to prosecute or not, but the police obviously lean on you.
No, they don't lean on. What happens is the police are the investigative arm. There are certain offences that the police are allowed to charge, and they tend to be cases that are what I would term, no insult is intended, but they're low-level crime. So if it's going to be a guilty plea on something that's a fairly minor crime in the scale of things, the police can charge that themselves. That still doesn't mean that they are necessarily prosecuted. If they charge that and it does not pass the Code for Crown Prosecutors test, it doesn't pass the evidential test and the public interest test, which is the second part, it is not prosecuted, and it is the CPS decision, it's the CPS lawyer's decision. The rest of the crimes are all referred to us, and we have various ways of doing it, where an officer comes to us and says, this is the evidence I've got, this is what I think. The prosecutor will speak to that officer or look at the evidence. We have the capacity to say to the officer, well, we've got a gap here or a gap there. Could you go off and get some more evidence? The police don't have to, but they are, on the whole, a very cooperative bunch, and they do that. There's no leaning on anybody, and then a final decision is made. Now, the final decision is the Crown Prosecution Services. We are very lucky here. What we do is that if at the level that the officer and the prosecutor, the individual prosecutor, if they can't agree, we do have an escalation system which goes up various levels and ends up with me and the Chief Constable. And we have started trying to involve the officers more to be able to have debates to repair more cases. And we've done 4 escalations in the last 3 months, and out of those we've had more evidence has been obtained. We've charged 3 of them.
The debate will continue. Thank you all very much for joining us this evening, and goodbye.